Well, I think cities are critical in our world's approach to climate change. And in fact, the Secretary General of the United Nations said even just a few years ago that the battle against climate change will largely be won or lost in cities. There's some basic math in that we are now a majority urban species. 55% of people live in cities, and by the middle of this century it'd be 2/3. So whether we're looking at the impact of climate change and how we build resilience in the face of the consequences, or we look at the very nature of human life and how we make it more efficient and decarbonize it, working through cities is going to be the means by which we reach more human lives more quickly than through any other form of organization. But also cities offer something unique. And I'm not saying that towns and villages and rural areas aren't important, but we are talking about cities. What cities offer is density. And when you get density, you have an opportunity for efficiency. That's not guaranteed, right? But if we can get ahead of it with good resourcing, good investment, good urban planning, then we can actually build efficiency into human lives. And again, the more efficient a life is, we reduce the amount of resources that are required to sustain human life, and we reduce the price the planet pays for hosting us in our growing numbers. So look at the nature of urbanization is absolutely essential to the nature of our future relationship with this planet. Well, there are cities all around the world who have done really positive work on climate change. Malmo, Singapore, cities Davis, but I'll indulge and come to the UK, and I'll look at my own city of Bristol. We've done a really innovative piece of finance that's resulted in a deal with Amoresco and Vattenfall, who've now committed to a 20-year partnership journey, during which they will invest around £1 billion in the decarbonisation of our public estate, public housing, and on our land, introducing innovations. That is essential. So EV charging, retrofitting homes, but importantly within that deal, it includes social value. So there's £60 billion of social value. And that's essential because as city leaders will constantly emphasize, one of the perversities of climate change is that its consequences hit the poorest and most marginalized first, but they're also most vulnerable to being negatively impacted by the restructuring we have to go through. That's why we emphasize a just transition, making sure that we're getting social value, skills pipelines, and emphasizing economic inclusion. And it's not only kind of abstract economic forces have ignored that in the past. The environmental movement itself has sometimes been very slow to take account of the need to hold people's poverty and financial viability, foremost. And I was on the receiving end of that in Bristol, with people just saying get it done, and not allowing for any space for nuance. The other I would point to is London, and actually someone connected to Perry Wardhouse and Lolita Jackson, and they've been involved with London Edge, setting up a £100 million fund, again getting the finances in place to roll out the technology. And there's a really important point I'll share there that mayors around the world have been making now for many years, including C40 and so forth, that we have the technology to solve most of the problem. We know how to retrofit homes. We know how to build water source heat pumps, air source heat pumps, right? We know about heat networks. We know solar. But what we haven't done is deliver the financial mechanisms to get the technology rolled out. That is the missing piece. Now, the financial vehicles that we do have are too often oriented towards national governments and sectors. And we've seen, as with the COP process, it's been great at developing policy and frameworks, but it's not been good at supporting delivery. What you have at the mayoral, the subnational level of leadership, is a political leadership that is absolutely committed to delivery, because it's the nature of being a mayor. I'm not saying every mayor is golden, but I mix with enough mayors to know it's about delivery. And what we've needed is to look at how global finance understands the mayoral level of leadership, and how the mayoral level of leadership gets access to the skills and capacity they need to be able to access global finance. If we can make the match, and we can get those hundreds of billions of pounds flowing into the hands of urban leaders, we would have a chance to get ahead of urbanization and make sure that urbanization, both as it is about to land on us, as it grows, but also in retrofitting existing urban centres, is made as efficient as possible.